Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Gold, silver, and uranium? Let's explore! All three of those metals have had quite an impact in the world throughout history, both good and bad. We're going to talk about them in this sponsored video. Gold is considered an incredible inflation hedge and has been a store of value for thousands of years. One of the most attractive qualities of gold is that it serves as money because it does not react to the environment around it. It doesn't harm anybody. It doesn't have an agenda or anything like that. Gold is what it is. Silver, it is a store of value as well, but it has a lot of different uses, and hence it makes it quite a metal with diversity that is matched by no other metal out there. And it has, in the last bull market, rallied from $5 to $50 in a single decade. That's 1,000% move, and that is quite impressive indeed. But nonetheless, what is it about silver and gold that attracts many of us in this community to hold these metals? Well, it's the fact that they provide a store of value, a safe store of value in times of economic instability, and a safe store of value in terms of its reaction to the environment and as a way to even help us medically. Yes, that's right. Both gold and silver provide a way to essentially help us throughout the in the biotechnical fields and medicine. It's quite amazing to see how both of those metals have worked in that area. But there's another metal that has done very well in medicine, and that is uranium. Uranium has certainly done quite a number of things medically to fight cancer and the like, but also can cause it. It's very reactive to the environment, and it's not a metal that you want to hold on to for any length of time, or for any time at all, actually. You don't want to put your hands on uranium. You don't want to stack it. You may want to invest in it. We're going to talk about that here shortly, but not necessarily to hold it in your hand physically. But nonetheless, there are ways to take advantage of the metal and its benefits for energy and the like. But silver is a metal that certainly has proven itself in the medical field, and it has proven itself in terms of other aspects as well too, including weapons like uranium has. Gold has certainly served well, especially in space and other areas in electronics, and certainly in weapons technology too. So there is a link to all three of these metals in some way, although one is very volatile in terms of its reaction to the environment. And one thing we do know about uranium is that when it moves, it is even more intense than that 1,000% move that I referenced with silver. Because the global supply is so tight, from 2001 to 2007, its price rose 3,500%. Quite a big move for uranium. So when commodities are in super cycles, uranium enters a mega super cycle. So gold and uranium essentially is a nice pair trade with organizations like big banks such as JP Morgan have talked about how commodities are going to enter this super cycle and they're going to go up dramatically. I think uranium could very well be in that mix. And that leads us to the sponsored portion of this video by Uranium Royalty Corporation. Indeed, they are on the NASDAQ with the ticker symbol UROY, and there are so few uranium producers in the United States, so the few companies that have this market cornered have a massive opportunity in front of them. And with Biden pushing a massive energy independence infrastructure initiative, uranium very well could play a part in that because it's a bipartisan issue. Nuclear energy is something that is being actively explored by both parties in Washington. And Uranium Royalty Corporation, being the only royalty company It's one of the best performing stocks in the world for the past 3 years. From its January 2020 IPO, the stock price has risen 396%. And they are the only uranium royalty company in the world today. Critical with uranium is the fact that the U.S. imports over 90% of what we domestically use. So Uranium Royalty Corporation and Uranium Energy Corporation keep pushing the government to make sure that in Texas and in Wyoming, they could operate and mine independent uranium, where we don't rely on investors. We're going to get into some of this with their presentation here. We take a look at Uranium Royalty Corporation. It is a first mover advantage, and they've applied the successful royalty and streaming business model, which provides a lot of protections for investors, and they are exclusive to the uranium sector. They have a very strong balance sheet with $131 million in Canadian for liquid assets, and positions it to capitalize on accredited uranium royalty and streaming acquisition opportunities. Through opportunistic market purchases, the supply stream with CGN Global and its approximate 3.8% stake in London-listed Yellowcake plc, URC holds interest in physical uranium acquired at cyclical lows. And that's the key here, being able to acquire it when the prices are low, to take advantage of that price movement up, to really benefit and profit in that regard. Their portfolio includes interest in 15 development, advanced, and permitted and past producing uranium projects in multiple jurisdictions. We'll look at those here momentarily, including royalties on the world-class McArthur River and Cigar Lake mines. And the most important aspect, I think, of this is the management and board possess decades of uranium industry experience, including senior executive and advisory roles to prominent companies and governments in this sector. And so they are well positioned to take advantage of current market conditions as a provider of alternative capital and to the uranium sector. And actually, they've done very well in the past for sure. And the two names I'm going to list here among their great management board are Scott Melby, President and CEO and Director, who is a uranium industry veteran with 37 years experience. And then you have Amir Adnani. You heard me mention his name in prior profiles, and he's the entrepreneur and founder and president of CEO of Uranium Energy Corporation. And he is also the chairman of Gold Mining Incorporated, who have also profiled in the past. Another great panel, and that's really a part of the whole picture here, is the expertise of the management and the board. And they have a strategic partner here as well with Uranium Energy Corporation. So we can see how uranium spot price has reached this 9-year high, and there's a lot of room to move with an upside potential there, as you can see from this chart. The health of the company in terms of their capitalization and ownership profile is certainly evident here with the numbers that you see on your screen. Quite impressive to see. So also key shareholders that are big names in the business in terms of companies like Extract Capital. We have Altius Resources Incorporated, Commodity Capital, and Sprott Global, but as well as Rick Rule on board here as well. So very, very impressive, I feel. And I love their strategy. It's about building a diversified portfolio geographically and to get some counterparty involvement with range of capitalization as well too, with various different stages of development and near, medium, and long-term projects here in their assets. And they also invest across the cost curve and maximizes leverage to uranium recovery. And they actually have physical ownership. As we all know, they're likely not going in and playing with the physical product. Would not be wise for sure. But again, here we can see their counterparties, their operators that are involved in this, and that's part of what the royalty model has, so that you as the investor are not holding the bag and with the risk. It provides a lot more diversification with their asset portfolio in these different sites that we see here all across of North America, pretty fascinating, and really around the world, including in Namibia, I believe there. So we've got this strategic partnership with Yellowcake PLC Investment. For me, talk about that area here. And then we've also got other sites, MacArthur, and then the Dawn Lake option, Russell Lake, all kinds of projects with Uranium Royalty Corporation. So pretty impressive portfolio, a lot of different sites that they're working with. And this is something that I think is going to be quite a potential for a good increase in price. But as is the case with all situations like this in companies, but including even royalty companies, it's good to do your homework and do your research when looking at companies like this. The company has a contact page where you can reach out to them. You can contact them and call. I'll post a link to the website in the comment section below. But one thing I will say about Uranium Royalty Corporation compared to other ways to be able to invest, such as physical funds, ETFs, and operating companies, is one thing that stands apart from them is they have no development or sustaining capital cost. That's important here because they're not burdened with that aspect of it. And they also have the ability to grow without increased management. In other words, you don't have to worry about hiring new staff or management to take into account which operating companies need in order to make that happen. And again, that's not necessarily always a bad thing. It's just part of the case with normal operating companies, but that's what sets royalty companies apart. And Uranium Royalty Corporation being the only one in this sector in the uranium space means that it's a company that has a lot of potential here for opportunities to invest. There you have it. Fascinating indeed. They have a lot of different things that they'll talk about in terms of nuclear energy, how it is safe and reliable and economic. If you look at all the data that's applied to it, there's so much room for growth in this area. Obviously they have to deal with the waste, and that is something that is a concern, but it's also something they've been thinking about and talking about for quite some time. And there are safe ways to store nuclear waste now than ever before. There's a lot here, and I think there's a lot of potential in nuclear. Again, I can't stress enough that as you look at diversifying your portfolio in the metal sector, and uranium is definitely a volatile metal in terms of physical, and because of the nature of what it is, but it's a good way to diversify within the metal space. Look into it, see what you think, do your own due diligence and research. With something like this where there is some risk involved, as is the case with any strategy for investing in certain stocks, but this is something in the metals space, especially with energy, that is something worth looking into. This provides, I think, a very nice opportunity for folks out there. So I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.